Welcome to the Corner Pocket. Super Scoopers here, Ozzy Scooper, aka the Irish Assassin, where we bake cheese when we're sleeping. Here we have a special request for a Westgate Super Contest edition. How it works is there's a tournament out in Las Vegas, Nevada each year at the Westgate, and the best handicappers in the world show up. 900,000 to first. On average, sometimes can get to 1 million. And you pick 5 games against the spread each week. Got a couple guys that I'm in contact with that are doing pretty well in the running. Gonna give them here the Scooper Picks edition of the Super Contest. And without further ado, let's get here to the Thursday game, Oakland at Kansas City. Rematch from a game earlier this season where Kansas City really had their way with Oakland. It was a game where weather played a part, a little bit of rain in Oakland for the first contest. Kansas City really dominated it, 406 to 285 in total yards, plus 13 minutes in time of possession. And it was one of the few games where the Oakland offense was stifled, and people were confused on why it happened. And I think it's going to be a similar night where people say, how did this offense that's scoring 30 plus each week look that average, that bad? And weather's going to play a part again. We're looking at mid 25 degrees in Kansas City on Thursday night, wind chill in the 10, 11, 12 degree range. And you got Oakland, a team that somehow played 6 of their last 8 games at home. Their 2 road games were at Jacksonville and at Tampa Bay. Jacksonville's not a real football team. They have Blake Bortles. The other team is Tampa Bay. They were outgained in that game. Had 23 penalties, went to overtime. In Oakland, they found a way to win the game, doing Derek Carr type things in the fourth quarter. But here you got Arrowhead Stadium, where we saw Tom Brady in 2014 in his Super Bowl season go there, lose 41-14. It was the game where everybody counted New England out, and before they just started rattling them off game after game. This Kansas City team is not that same team from, even 3-4 weeks ago. They are no longer boring. I mean, you got Tyreek Hill, Jeremy Maclin returns with Travis Kelce. You got a balanced attack with Alex Smith, who, although he's not the greatest, he's competent, and his arm still can scare you. He's not like 4 or 5 quarterbacks in this league where, you can kind of just play one-on-one and get away with it against Alex Smith. He can make you pay at times. And, I think, something that'll fly under the radar in this game is Justin Houston, Tom Bahali, and Dee Ford, 3 of the best pass rushers in the NFL on one team. Almost seems, it's Golden State-esque, and, don't know how they pulled that off, but they're going to be going against an Oakland team that's, great run-blocking team, struggles a little bit with the pass block, with a super loud stadium. So you got those 3 guys finally on the field. And, Eric Berry, he's approaching Ed Reed status on the back end. Oakland's going to, I think they really struggle to move the ball the entire game. It's, Oakland gets it. I mean, Kansas City gets a lead on you. The crowd gets into it. You got the Derek Carr pinky thing. Last week he didn't take a single snap under center. This week with the timing and the noise on a short week in 20 degrees, California boys, the body's not used to it. I think it's going to be an ugly game to watch. I think it's going to be fun the first 5-10 minutes when you see all the energy in Kansas City just doing Kansas City type things. But on top of all the things I've mentioned, health is just so Kansas City. You get Maclin back. They're as healthy as they've been all season. First-round pick Carl Joseph for Oakland, hard-hitting first-round pick. He's out. Shaq Calhoun, linebacker, doesn't look like he's going to play either. And then Kelechi Osemele, their best guard in football, he's not 100%. So, everything is just, this is a terrible spot for Oakland. They've covered 5 of the last 6 weeks, 8 of 12. They've just been destroying Vegas. And, this is that week where Thursday night, all that Oakland money that's been piling in, it'll continue to pile in, and the books will start to get it back here. I got Kansas City 27, Oakland 10. So I got Kansas City minus the 3 as my first Super Contest pick. On to the next one. Baltimore at New England. Another primetime game this week. The Ravens, New England played in some classics over the years. Here you got a Baltimore team, number 2 defense in DVOA, number 1 against the rush, number 5 against the pass. The last 5 weeks, they've just been, dominant on defense. They held Pitt to 14. All their points were scored late in garbage. 7 for Cleveland. They scored those early. On Thursday night, Dallas scored 27. That's the one game I'm going to touch here in a second. Cincinnati, 14 points. Miami, 6. And the 6 Miami scored last week was on a fumble by Pitta in the third quarter where, the defense, they even said it to the guys, you cost us a shutout, which is the truth. Miami wasn't scoring in that game. And it really all comes down to the fact that Jimmy Smith, one of the most underrated corners in the league. Some guys wouldn't even know. People think Jimmy Smith's the receiver for Jacksonville back in the late 90s. There's a new one. He played at Colorado, 6'3", 215 corner. They don't get much more physical. Ask Antonio Brown. He's the last guy he wants to see line up on the opposite side of him. It's Jimmy Smith. And, you get him back with Elvis Dumerville. In the one game in the last 5 weeks when this Baltimore defense has really gotten going, the only team that gave them issues was Dallas. And Dallas was shut out the first half until they started to go to the slant and utilize the Des Bryant physicality against these little corners for these little backup corners for Baltimore. There wasn't much going on there. So you get Jimmy back. He's going to be locking down. Not sure if they'll put him on Julian or Malcolm Mitchell, but you still, this is a New England team that doesn't have Gronk. It's not like they have crazy weapons. Hogan, Edelman, Mitchell. I don't see New England moving the ball. I think it's a tough game where Brady just kind of wills them to stay in the game. But you got a team who, now that Earl Thomas is out, I'll take the Baltimore defense over anybody in football. Get the best defense in the league with an offense that's starting to gel. People forget about this Raven team. Perryman, Pitta, Smith, Flacco, all of them had serious injuries last year, knees and Achilles. It takes you a little bit of time to, get the rust off the following season. Offensive coordinator was fired early this season. Marty Morningweg took off. Watching film this week on the Sunday Ticket, shortcuts. If you're not doing that, you should. Really stood out was the play calling from Morningweg. Lots of short stuff, pit over the middle, crossing routes, tough things that, tough to defend. In Madden, when you run those crossing routes with the slot man and the tight end, it's tough to stop, And, Baltimore was really doing that last week against a Miami team that was, clearly just, outclassed. And, as far as, the rivalry here, as far as the Ravens really don't get up for the Bengals and the Steelers as much. Usually you got teams in their division that are the biggest rivals, but for Baltimore, it's always been Tom Brady and the Patriots. Suggs hasn't been quiet about it. He loves it. He's going to have this team juiced up, getting more than a touchdown. I locked this thing in at +8. With the Super Contest, it's going to be at 7. But, you get a much better defense. This New England team, number 25 against the pass, number 4 against the rush. But the thing is Baltimore's not really a great running team. That's not what they try to be. I think both teams are going to be throwing the ball 75, 80% of the time. We live in a league now where it's 60% run, 40% pass. And, in this league and in this game, I think it's going to be up in the 70s. I don't think a lot of points are going to come from a lot of passing, but I think it will be a lot of passing. Last 5 weeks, these are the quarterbacks New England's faced: Jared Goff, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Colin Kaepernick, Tyrod Taylor, Landry Jones. They've done pretty well against them, which isn't a surprise. Inexperienced quarterbacks versus Belichick usually isn't going to end well. But the one quarterback that they faced in the last 6 weeks that could play, Russell Wilson, 25 of 37, 348, and 3 touchdowns versus this Swiss cheese secondary. As far as this rivalry, Joe Cool has outplayed Tom Brady in the majority of the contest. There was a 35-31 thriller in the 2015 playoffs. There was the 28-13 upset for Baltimore in 2013 playoffs. And these teams, they know each other. This is like a division rivalry game. And, it's going to take greatness from Brady just to win the game, let alone, they're not covering, but, it's going to take greatness from Brady just to win, and they're giving up more than a touchdown. I'll take Baltimore 24, New England 20 with the outright upset. Give me a touchdown. Thank you very much. third game on the slate for the Super Contest here. Cincinnati Bengals at the Cleveland Browns. Browns, 6 straight losses against the spread. They've been hurting Vegas unlike any team in the league. Cincinnati, another team that was one of the darlings last year against the spread with Minnesota as the 2 best teams against the spread this year. Public's gotten crushed trying to take the Bengals 3-8-1. Still short memory for the public though. They watch them beat 32-14 against the Eagles, and when you have a good showing like that, the public sometimes thinks like, oh yeah, they're back. Well, Philly was in a super flat spot without Ryan Matthews, without Jordan Matthews. And, this isn't Carson Wentz without 2 of the better weapons on an offense that lacks weaponry. This is, a Cleveland Brown team here. The way the Bengals get up for the Steelers is how the Browns get up for the Bengals. This is a little brother, big brother thing. Who wants it more? Another game where weather's going to play a big role in it. Potential snow in the 30s. When weather's inclement, if you're in a good or bad mood, or, motivation's going to play a huge role here. And here you got a Browns team led by Hugh Jackson, used to knows the Bengals very well. If you've seen these press conferences, he's not taking losing very well. He has his team off a bye week, fresh. Hayden's healthy. Pryor and Coleman, young talented receivers, are hungry. RG3 is going to be back in it. With McCown off the bench if something happens, and RG3 is motivated. This is his last shot. The Browns, people think they're so bad. They've cost me some money over the last month, but I watched them battle with the Giants and not cover. I watched them battle with Pittsburgh, battle with Washington, battle with Miami, battle with Baltimore. They lead the league by a wide margin with 45 sacks allowed, but with Cincinnati on the road, not inspired. 18th pass rush in the league, according to Pro Football Focus. I think RG3 is going to have some time to find the receivers. I think Isaiah Crowell will run hard. Last 2 seasons, Bengals at Cleveland, 67-3. Don't think the Browns will forget about that. Off of bye week, like I said, fresh, motivated. They'll be able to get their first victory of the season and still lock up and still have that number 1 pick, because I think San Francisco will take care of business. But even if Cleveland doesn't want to go winless, these are still professionals that have some pride to them. But really, what it comes down to is the Bengals without AJ Green, they're just not very good. They're 24th in the league in red zone offense. Their defense isn't very good. I expect Cleveland to move the ball. They're hungrier. They're at home. They're getting 6. It's just too many points in the NFL, and the Bengals aren't very good. People, still have this perception of what they've been the last 7 years, but this is not the same team. Offensive line plays horrible. The secondary plays horrible. Coming off of a feel-good win, flat spot on the road, bad weather. Give me the Browns for another outright upset, and I'll take them 21-13. Dalton in the win and the cold really struggles. And so the Browns will be my number 3 selection for the Super Contest. Up next is going to be the Denver Broncos at the Tennessee Titans here. Last week, Denver, kind of a deceiving win. Outgained 333-206 versus Jacksonville. The pick 6 is going to be a little lopsided on the scoreboard. They probably get Trevor Siemian back this week, but, wasn't the greatest quarterback to begin with. Now he's probably going to rush back from injury. Last season, Malik Jackson and Danny Trevathan were, 2 of the better defenders in football on a Super Bowl defense, and they lost them in the offseason. And John Elway, he's been getting away with it so far this season. By the way, as far as the general manager, he set a record for 71 wins in his first 100 games as a GM. And I think Sunday night he's going to have to look himself in the mirror and realize he's got some work to do to get back to competing for Super Bowls, because his team is not ready. They're 8-4, but if you take away a blocked PAT return versus the Saints and a missed field goal by Carolina week 1, all of a sudden now we're perceiving this team as a 6-6 team. Very small things that happen at the end of a game, and now we're going to have a complete different perception of a team as 8-4 versus 6-6. One of those things where everybody wants to look at the scoreboard, be result oriented instead of actually doing their homework and dissecting what happened in these games. The Denver Broncos, number 1 in the league against the pass, but 26th against the rush. Really struggled. And this Tennessee team, number 1 grade by I mean, number 3 grade by Pro Football Focus in the run block. With Derrick Henry, a Heisman winner, fresh late in the season, didn't get much action early on. The boy can play football. DeMarco Murray's a stud. The crowd in Tennessee hasn't had a contender to cheer for in a long time. Off a bye week, they're going to be hyped up. The defense for Tennessee is a little troublesome. You saw them against Green Bay get gashed, but I think with the bye week, healthier than they've been in a while, I think they play some good football. And, it's not like Denver's lighting anything up on the scoreboard. 22nd in the league in offense passing, 25th in rush. Losing C.J. Anderson was an underrated injury. Booker's a player, but I don't think he's ready to, carry the load offensively. Sanders and Demaryius Thomas kind of lack explosion. Don't think they're going to, give Titan secondary, crazy difficulty like some of these other teams have. Tennessee's been kind of a darling from the public to bet on. They've been betting on them the last 6-7 weeks, and they're 2-5. Cost the public some money. I think it's going to be one of those games where the public goes, this is the Super Bowl champs, getting one. People are going to be jumping back off Titans, back on the Broncos. Will sign me up. I'll jump back on. I got the Titans 24, Broncos 16 in a game where the Titans kind of just pound and make plays and keep them off the field. So I got the Tennessee Titans as my number 4 selection. Next up is going to be the Atlanta Falcons at the Los Angeles Rams. The Atlanta Falcons started off this year, blazing hot. Now they go to LA. And they're coming off of a game where they had it won. They throw a pick 6 on a 2-point reversion, and now they got to go to LA, east to west. After that tough loss, Tampa Bay's playing New Orleans. Could be a game where Atlanta and a day where Tampa. I'm expecting it to be a day where Atlanta and Tampa Bay lose outright, and they're still both tied atop the division. But the LA Rams, the 3 home games this year when they've had similar situations to this. Home to Seattle week 1, they only give up 3 points. Carolina 13, Miami 14, all came in the last 6 minutes. This team plays some defense at home. 15th in the league in defense. They struggled versus New Orleans and New England. They were tough spots. And now they come back home. It's a collective kind of bounce back spot. Todd Gurley, a guy's been frustrated all season. He's talented as any running back in the league outside of the top 3 monsters. And he's going against a defense who's 27th in the league against the rush. 28th overall. They're not very good. Julio's got turf toe. I think he'll be very limited. Wouldn't be surprised if they pulled him after a couple series. Atlanta's got the 18th best blocking grade according to Pro Football Focus, going against the number 1 pass rush in Pro Football. I just think it's one of the mismatches of the week that people are going to look past. Aaron Donald and his front four, they're going to be in Matt Ryan's grill all week, all day. Jared Goff and Jeff Fisher, 2 guys that have kind of been getting beat up by the media, kind of laughed at. I think they're going to have a little chip on their shoulder. Jeff Fisher can still motivate people. He's not some soft Todd Bowles-looking boy who's just going to sit there and get rolled over. I think the LA Rams come ready to play, and the Atlanta Falcons they just get out physical, and the narrative will be, here we go again with Atlanta. They fooled us again. We thought they were a contender. Lost Desmond Trufant, one of the better corners in pro football. He's out the season. Not that I think LA is going to be throwing the ball a lot on him, but Lance Kendrick's a solid tight end. I think he's going to give him some issues, and I think Gurley really gets rolling. Don't be shocked if Gurley goes for $160. And the Rams pull off the upset 23-17. So, once again, you're giving me 6 points at home in the NFL. Sign me up. So just to recap here, we have the Kansas City Chiefs -3, the Baltimore Ravens +7, the Cleveland Browns +6, the Tennessee Titans -1, and the LA Rams +6. That's all from me. Best of luck, and let's keep on scooping.